Hey up everybody, my name is Joshua Morrison, director of Johnny Moz's Lessons in Confidence, and today I just wanted to ask, what is my life? It just seems like everything is becoming so much more vivid. It seems like everything's kind of happening more, often and larger in scope, and it just seems like everything's getting bigger rather than more quaint, right? It seems like everything's on an upwards trajectory, right? I started this channel nearly a year ago, right? And the videos were just, in my bedroom, and I did a few, like going to a couple mates' houses, and I would record in front of them. And now it just seems like I'm going all over the place. I'm recording like in Abbey Road studios, making films, editing movies and stuff like that, dealing with clients. Working on my website and, trying to get a job in advertising, like proper, like social media marketing type stuff, proper social media type marketing stuff. It's all a bullshit fucking industry anyway. But I want to get in on that because the money's quite good. And this isn't going to be on my CV anyway, so it doesn't really matter. What I just find interesting though is how fast it's all happened. All because, I've gotten like 50,000 subscribers on YouTube. Right, I got the subscribers really fast because the algorithm takes, certain people and just decides you're going to be popular, you're not, you're going to be popular, you're not, and it's for some reason decided that I'm going to be popular. I have no idea why it's decided that because, I don't feel like I'm saying anything particularly worthwhile, and yet for some reason people seem to think that I am, right? And there's a bit of imposter syndrome going on, but I'm aware enough of all of that it doesn't really impact me. But what I do find mad is that I basically am living my own dream. When I was sort of 17, 18 in college, this is the person that I wanted to be back then. And I was trying so hard to get stuff done, right? And yet I try way less now, and yet I get way more results. Is that just a case of talent? Am I just more talented now than I was back then? I suppose maybe. Is it kind of like, you call a plumber out to just like do a tiny little thing that takes them like 10 minutes and you pay them like 400 quid. And they turn around and go, oh yeah, but the reason you're paying me 400 quid isn't for the 10 minutes of work I just did. It's for the 10 years of experience it took me to be able to do that in 10 minutes. Is it like that? I'm not entirely sure. I'm just kind of overwhelmed by the fact that, one, I'm here in Edinburgh, right? Filming stuff for the Fringe Film Festival, Fringe Comedy Festival, right? Meeting all sorts of interesting people. I've just spent the last 2 hours sat drinking Erdinger Zero, right? Being taught to by a magician who's doing all kind of crazy magic tricks. He's given me free tickets to go to the thing tomorrow, and now me and my mate are going to be doing a documentary about him. Because we're working on this little sort of series of mini documentaries. Kind of like those Vice things where they're like really small scale documentaries. Just kind of working on that. And they're going to be like 5-10 minute little things, right? They're not going to be anything like mad, amounts of effort that goes into each one. But at the same time, I think they're going to be good for the show reel and, for my future experience and that kind of thing. Particularly if I want to start getting into events and stuff like that. But I was just sat there while he was talking to me, and he was a really nice guy. He was really into pop punk. But I was just sitting there thinking, what the fuck is my life? I've got a magician just talking to me. Just like he's doing magic tricks and stuff, and it's just like, I was just recording a gig at the Comedy Fringe Festival, and then before that I climbed a mountain, and then before that I slept on a bench, and before that we drove up here, and then before that I was recording at Abbey Road, and then before that, doing film sets and stuff like that, filming Johnny Moz's Lessons in Confidence, and then before that, going to work, because I work alongside all of this at a pub. So it seems like my life goes in so many different places all at the same time, and it all sorts seems to happen all at once. And I just find it kind of interesting, really, right? If you look at sort of past iterations of myself, I never used to dress like this. The past version of me would look at me now and just be like, he looks like an arsehole, right? And realistically, this is the sort of outfit of someone that, is a terrible person. And yet for some reason now I kind of like it. And I don't think that means that I'm a terrible person, because I don't necessarily think in those sort of surface level ways anymore. I think that, I don't know, I've been going around like vintage shops and stuff and like been enjoying picking out various shirts and stuff in a way that I never would have used to do. It's like I'm changing as an individual. It's like I'm evolving into something new. And I just thought it was interesting because if you think about it, right, we all go through many iterations in our lives, right? You know, you got the first one, which is obviously you're a baby and then toddler and then you go into school and all that. But getting into the adult sort of world, you know, you come out of uni and you're not really sure what to do with your life. And then you get a few sort of dead-end jobs. You work at Sainsbury's or Walmart or whatever your local equivalent is. You do those sort of things. You're flipping burgers on minimum wage. And then sort of as time goes on, you sort of fall into some kind of career, and everyone seems to fall into something different. You know, I know so many people that are just sort of gadabouts essentially, that do nothing but play video games all day, that have gone from working in Sainsbury's to working in an office, so have gone from working in Walmart to working in, you know, finance, and like they're still doing all of that same stuff. The internal like idea of that person hasn't changed, because they still have the same voice, the same general ideas, and when they say something, it sounds like something that person would have said. And yet, it just seems like, I feel like with me, I've just changed very, very quickly over the course of a year. Right? It's like my entire sort of social circle has changed. You know, the people that I talk to, like, I had a look at an old screenshot of my WhatsApp, right? And I realized I don't text any of these people anymore. And my new WhatsApp is just full of what to that person would be complete strangers. And I just think it's interesting how quickly everything has sort of happened, how rapidly the evolution has actually taken place, right? It just sort of seems like a new era is definitely coming. I like to categorize my life into different eras, right? Not that they have any kind of names or anything, but you can kind of tell when one era is ending and another one's beginning. But never before has it felt quite so not glacial, but like titanic in scale. It just never has felt quite like that. And I just find it interesting how, I mean, this is an incredibly self-indulgent video. I'm basically just talking about myself, but I feel like it's something that you can kind of extrapolate to who you are. Because I bet a year ago, maybe you weren't as different to now as I feel like I am compared to me a year ago. But if you look at a video from me from the beginning of this channel, I'm still saying more or less the same sort of thing. So as I was saying, the essence of that person is still in there, but the exterior has changed. I used to dress like a fucking hobo, and now I sort of dress like I belong on a fucking cruise ship in Greece, sipping a martini and just going, throwing a dart, I should have a cigar like that. And you know, it's just, I don't understand what is happening, right? And I like it. I like the change that's happening. I like the new me. I like the thing that I'm evolving into. And I want to see where that grows when I get used to this new iteration, because I've only been wearing this sort of stuff for a little while. And that's obviously just that's a exterior type thing. That's a surface level type thing. And I think on a deeper level, in terms of my general philosophy and stuff, I've been kind of going back and forth on a few different things. Doing these videos is very good for me to sort of figure out what my overall philosophy on the world is. And it's certainly become more balanced. I used to really tip back and forth between, you know, hedonism and then overwhelming like dopamine withdrawal type stuff. And then I would get sick of that, and then I would just, you know, be like ordering pizzas all the time and just smoking weed and all this kind of shit, right? And now I don't drink and I don't smoke weed, and it's just kind of like, how has this all sort of happened? I don't have a specific answer here. I'm not expecting to come to any kind of grand conclusion. I just think that it's just weird how we go through these changes in life, right? I'd say in my adult life, I've probably had 3. This one before, and then the one before that was kind of the post-uni days, right? And I'm wondering, are the eras going to get longer as I get older, as I get more comfortable and balanced with myself? Or will these changes continue, and the me 2 years from now will be completely different to me now, and the me 2 years from then will be completely different? Will it be just basic clothes, or will it be something deeper? Will I be able to have a debate with my future self, and I'll intrinsically disagree with everything he has to say? You know, what if this YouTube channel becomes like I'm some alt-right grifter or some bullshit, and like someone that I would absolutely fucking despise? Like, what if money gets to my head? You know, what if, you know, this channel does even better than 50,000 subscribers? What if it gets like 10 million subscribers and I become like some kind of complete self-obsessed, narcissistic, nasty person? And I don't think I have that in me, but then I bet most of the people that are super successful now that came from nothing were originally once quite humble. Like, take Sam Altman, for instance. He's a narcissistic piece of shit, right? Who's currently ruining the world. But you look at him like in 2010 and he seems like a pretty level-headed, decent person. And I don't know him personally. I don't know if he was always a narcissistic piece of shit, so I won't be able to take anything away from it. But take someone like, you know, all these various actors that kind of came from nothing, or say rappers, singers, that sort of thing. I'm using rappers because they tend to come from like lower class sort of backgrounds and stuff, so they come from nothing and then they get overwhelmed with this huge amount of opulence and wealth, and they spend it on like Gucci and designer handbags and fucking Lamborghinis and stuff like that, and that almost becomes like a part of their personality. I'm wondering, I've just been sat here talking about my fucking clothes for 5 minutes. Is that same thing happening to me, right? But this is just my version of it, you know. They have their Lamborghinis, I have my sort of weird silk shirts and different types of trousers, and my Division Bell socks, which my girlfriend got me. I love these socks, they're so good, right? But I don't know. Are we in control of the person that we're going to be? Or is the person that we're going to be controlled by the circumstances that happen to us now, right? Say worst comes to worst, right? Say, I don't know, there's a big, I don't want to get dark about it, but say there's some big death in the family, right? Something like that. Something really big that completely changes my life, right? That would probably impact the channel, it probably impacts my career, probably impact a lot of things, my mental health, and then I would go down into a dark rabbit hole, and then I would have to be like a phoenix coming from the ashes to become a new person. Would I be in control of who that person that rises from those ashes is? Or is that just forged from the fires within and I don't have any control over it, the same way that, you know, the iron that's inside it doesn't have any control over what shape it's going to be? I don't actually know, but I do find it interesting, and I do wonder, you know, are we in control of our own future selves in that sort of regard? Because the ideal future for me at the moment is having a nice little house in the countryside with my girlfriend Lydia that I want to marry, and I'd like to have a couple kids or something like that, and I'd like to have a little barn out the back where I have a little music studio and I can bring like musicians over and we can have jams and stuff like that, and I'd have the recording equipment so we can just record every jam that we do, and I can put the best ones out on like some other YouTube channel or maybe make a Spotify. There's a really good band, they're called Electric Octopus, quite a small band, and they basically just record their live jams and they'll release them as individual songs. So, and each of the songs will be like 35 minutes long, 45 minutes long, something like that. And they just come out from these little jams, and I think that's really amazing. I'd love to do something like that if I had the barn and the people to be able to do it, right? I've been trying to get that done at Abbey Road. Do you hear me? I've been trying to get that done at Abbey Road. What kind of saying is that from someone that is meant to be a relatable figure? I wonder, like, I don't think that I'm relatable in that sort of way anymore. Maybe I once was, maybe I never was, because, you know, at the end of the day, I've got a cinema camera, I'm fucking going out filming a load of stuff, you know. I certainly come from enough privilege to be able to just sit and do this, right? But, you know, at the end of the day, the cinema camera didn't cost a vast amount, it cost me 600 quid, which I know is a lot of money, but it's not like, you know, you hear cinema camera and you think like Ariel X's and Reds and stuff like that all cost like in the tens of thousands. Mine wasn't anywhere near that. You know, it's certainly still a kind of a rough and tumble kind of operation. This is still like a single man operation, right? But what if, as it gets bigger and bigger and bigger, it starts like, you know, people get involved, people with fucking clipboards and stuff like that. I don't have anyone that sits behind the camera and makes sure that there's something going on there. Occasionally, I'm with a mate and the mate will be behind the camera, but that's only if we're going to a cafe and I see a really good location. And I'd be like, oh, stop, sorry, I really want to carry on, but like, we don't have, you know, this location's so beautiful, I just need to do it right now. Sometimes I'll be kind of like that. And maybe that's not relatable, but then was the point of this channel ever to be relatable? Is relatability the be-all and end-all? I don't know. But I like to try and convey something that's universal. And in this video, I think what that is if you ever go through a big change in your life, for the positive or the negative, you look at the past self before that change and they just seem almost unrecognizable. But the more that you dig into that change, you can see that there is some kind of transition. You can see the beginning and the end, where you went from the person you were before to the person that you are now. It's not like I just woke up one day as the Johnny Mozza with 50,000 subscribers with like all these fucking shirts. My wardrobe's just completely changed, you know? It's not like it just happened overnight. It happened over a long period of time. And admittedly, I had to put a lot of fucking work into it, doing 2 videos a day, which I did for about 4 months. Sorry, 2.5 months. You know, it was hard, but at the same time, it doesn't look that difficult because it's just one shot of me pissing about, talking shit to a camera with no script or anything. But at the end of the day, you know, most I've ever done is just to try as best as I can to provide the most interesting and relatable and you know, motivational sort of content that we possibly can. I did a video when I first started this channel about how I hate the term content, and now I find myself just using it unironically. It's the same way I used to hate saying "innit, bruv." You know, I used to hate saying that sort of shit. But then I started saying it ironically, and then you start saying, "Oh yeah, innit, bruv," you know, and then you just start saying "innit" just as a term, as you do, right? Maybe it's kind of like that, but with, instead of it just being the words you say, it's just the person that you are. Maybe that's it. It's one of those things anyway. And yeah, I don't really know. I just think that it's interesting how fast this change has happened with regards to my life and the person that I am. And I hope that I can stay the same sort of... it's very unhumble to say that you're a humble person, so I'm not going to say that. But I do feel like there's a down-to-earth sort of approach that I try and take. I hope that can remain no matter what. I hope that, you know, in 5 years that people aren't saying like, "Oh, I used to like Johnny Mozza, but then he just kind of got out of touch with reality," you know. And I'm going to do everything I can to prevent that, you know. I don't want mad amounts of wealth or opulence or anything like that. If I ever got to the point where I had so much money that I had everything I could ever need, which would be house in the country with a barn with a little studio, 2 cars, one a Volvo 240, which would be my fun car, and probably like a Toyota Prius, which would be my like everyday car. Guaranteed uni for my 2 or 3 kids or whatever. Let me see, mortgage paid off. Maybe like a safety net of like 5 years for like all my bills and stuff like that. It'd be nice to be able to shop like for branded stuff rather than like little shit. It would be nice to, you know, go to the pub and not have to worry about like, you know, "Oh, I've had one already," you know. It'd be nice to not have to get the bus everywhere and occasionally treat myself to getting an Uber or a taxi back, you know. Maybe getting a taxi rather than Uber. I mean, also, isn't it weird how everyone just says fucking Uber now instead of taxi? It's just like an overwhelming shift. In the same way, that didn't just happen overnight. The same way that I started saying "innit" didn't happen overnight. People probably started saying Uber, like here and there, probably just to mean Uber. But now people say Uber when they mean taxis, right? I don't know. It all kind of feels like that. It's gradual transitions, and I hope that I can be in control of the transition and the person that I come out of this transition as. And when the next transition comes around, I hope that I can be as in control of myself then as well. So yeah, that's going to be it from me. Thank you very much for watching this video, everybody. I hope you managed to glean something from it. If you've been going through a transition in your life, please let me know what that is. What kind of person were you like before? What kind of person are you like now? And how much control do you feel like you had over that? Obviously, you made the decisions to buy the new clothes or whatever, like. But at the end of the day, I bought these clothes because I liked them, not just because I specifically picked them. I picked them because I like them. So was I in absolute control of that? Is free will a real thing, or is it more deterministic? Let me know your thoughts, and yeah, I'll see you later. I'm going to bed. I'm just kind of poking my head out just so I can make sure no one nicks the camera. Because as I said, there's no one standing behind it. If I had someone standing behind it, I could have just fucked off. And be like, "Was that a good take?"